We are live. We have begun, and so it begins. Welcome, everybody, to episode 12 of Blackscreen. It is I, your host, Blackaroony. Today we're talking about Dune Part 2. Finally, we talk about this movie. I've been wanting to talk about this movie for ages. For ages. And I hadn't had the chance. Now I do. I finally have the chance to talk about this movie. It is I am excited. I am excited because I have a lot to say about this movie in particular. Because Dune Part 2 might just be my favorite film of all time. Like, I wasn't expecting it to be my favorite film of all time, but oh my god, I love it so much. It, like, okay, because initially it was when Oppenheimer came out, my favorite film then, like, was Oppenheimer. My, then Godzilla minus one came out, that became my favorite movie of all time. And now this movie comes out, and yeah, needless to say, I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy with this movie. I'm very happy that this movie exists because oh my god, everything about it. I just want to gush about it because it is just an incredible piece of art from the visuals to the storytelling to the music. The music, oh my god, the music. Now, okay, like last stream, no, the stream before, we were dismantling Hans Zimmer and all of that. Like, yeah, fine, his soundtrack may get repetitive, but you cannot tell me that this soundtrack is not good. Come on, Kiss the Ring, Harkonnen Arena, friggin' what's the other one? Worm Army. My personal favorite being Southern Messiah and Resurrection. Uh, it is wow, just everything about this movie. It is just peak. I know I don't say this a lot, like because it's cringe. I avoid saying this stuff, but this movie might be just peak fiction. Seriously, like, goddamn, I love this movie so much. I love, and we're gonna get to talk about it. We're gonna get to talk about Dune Part Two. It's gonna be great. Hopefully, one of the hosts shows up eventually. But yeah, no, this movie is absolutely incredible. It is a beautiful movie. It is both in storytelling and visually. It is just chef's kiss, brilliant. Now, people will probably not like it because it's not 100% faithful to the original. Because I know for a fact that the David Lynch movie is a lot more faithful than this movie. And you know what? Fine. But I like to judge movies based off of its own merits as opposed to as an adaptation argument. I'm more interested in how the movie tells its story on its own because these are two separate continuities. These are two separate stories. There's Dune the book and then there's Dune the movie. The movie uses the movie uses the foundation of the book to tell its story, but it is not the book. The movie is not the book, so I would rather separate the book and the movie that way. But I also like talking about the book itself because the book itself is incredible. So, I mean, depending on how good the book is, I would rather talk about it as well. And I know for a fact that the book here is just a masterpiece of it's a masterpiece in just every conceivable way. It is just very well written, very well told. Um, for starters, I would like to talk about religion, religion in Dune. Now, religion in Dune is a bit complicated because, well, we have the Bene Gesserit order and their machinations. them pulling the strings from the background. You have the religion of the Imperium, and you have the religion of the Har. Well, actually, I don't think the Harkonnens really have a religion, which kind of explains their whole shebang. You know, because they're PEDOs. Let's just call them that. They like little kids. They like underage kids. They like to do stuff with them. They like to diddle them, and they will go about as they will go about doing that because, well, I mean, there's no putting it lightly. They are horrible, horrible people. But they're also the least religious, coincidentally enough. So that I find that really telling that the least religious people in this universe are also the most hedonistic. So it really goes to show the importance of religion because it allows for a moral framework for you to live your life. It lets you live your life in the most moral way possible, and I think that's really important. People often, will overlook religion. It's been so common that in people that they'll just go, oh, it's religion. Okay, people are entitled to their own beliefs, but they never go beyond that. They always just go, oh, people are entitled to their own beliefs. Me personally, I don't believe in it because I don't buy it. But I mean, sure, like if you want to believe in a god, go ahead. But they never really delve deeper into why it is people believe there is a god in the first place. Now, in the case of Dune, we don't really get into the theology of the subject. We usually get into the machinations and how people use the religion. And how people use the religion is often nefarious, especially with the Bene Gesserit order, because religion, the whole point of Dune is that religion is as much a tool as it is a weapon. So it's a double-edged sword. Now, I would imagine that Frank Herbert, what he was trying to do was to explain that people in positions of power could manipulate religion to their own goals. And it's a critique of religion and how it's used. But I wouldn't say that's necessarily a fault of religion that people manipulate it. I would postulate that that's just a, a human feature. It's a feature of humanity because humanity needs control. It needs to control its people somewhat. It needs to control how people react. It needs to control how people receive things. It needs to control how people accept things. And if people accept things easier with the religion, then they will use it. There have been ties between Mormons and the CIA and multiple denominations of Christianity, even the ones that you wouldn't expect, like our Orthodox Christianity, have done dealings with the FBI. Because, I mean, the CIA, because the CIA needed the religion to accelerate their goals. So that's not necessarily a fault of religion, because now one could argue, isn't that indicative that religion is so weak and fragile that it can be manipulated by other people? Well, no, because religion is not necessarily created to manipulate people. It's there to create, number one, a moral framework for how you live your life. Number two, create a goal, generate a goal for its strongest believers to achieve. And by extension, number three, create a purpose for their lives. So, like with Hinduism and Buddhism, I think it is. With Buddhism and Hinduism in particular, I think it's to achieve Zen. I don't remember which one was it, but one of the two is to achieve Zen, which is like the highest state of existence, where you're in tune with the universe. With Christianity and with almost every denomination of Christianity is to achieve salvation. Now, each denomination has a different definition of salvation. Some of them it's to go to heaven, and others, particularly Mormons and Scientologists, well, no, Scientologists is not a Christian denomination, or not even Mormons. Mormons is just a wish version of Christianity. That's a whole different animal. No, with Mormons, it's and Scientologists, it's to I guess, go to a different planet that is considered heaven and be part of some galactic empire. I think I'm conflating Mormonism with Christianity, with Scientology, but yeah. Um, with Islam, it's also to achieve heaven, kind of like Christianity, but there are some details here and there that are different from Christianity. I don't remember exactly what they are. I'm not familiar with Islam, so I can't really talk about it too much. I can't talk about what I don't know. I haven't read any Islamic literature, so I don't really know what heaven is in Islam. But I mean, the goal is salvation, nonetheless. It's just that the way to go about it is a little different. So each religion has their goals, and that's not necessarily an issue of manipulation. They can be manipulated. On the contrary, I would argue that that's not the fault of the religion, but more so the ability of humans to twist things to achieve their goals a lot easier. So that's what I would call a human feature. That just means that we're really good at it, not that religion is just weak and feeble, like at the mercy of. Yeah, as someone in chat said, I have multiple questions that I want to ask you. What what are the main character what are the main characteristics of to identify a well-written story? Um, I guess this is in regards to my previous streams. Well, a well-written story. I don't want to deviate from Dune too much, but I guess we can incorporate it in some way. A well-written story has multiple things. Now, I will list them down by order of priority. It has well-written characters, uh, a well-written, uh, well-established world building, and number three, the plot. So a well-written character is a character that is written consistently, as in they are characterized in a specific way, and they don't deviate unless it is warranted. So what would be logically warranted for a character to change in some way? So 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 for example, say you're a happy you're a happy-go-lucky camper that doesn't flinch or uh what's the word? You don't a strong moral person that is always happy, always optimistic despite tragedies around them, and they don't fold to tragedy. Suddenly tragedy happens all around them. A change that would make sense would be to falter depending on the the magnitude of the tragedy, and the story could be about their this character's recovery, you know. Or we could have a sudden twist, like, oh, I've been putting a face, all right? It's very hard. Now, if the change is justified, because there are different ways to justify it. However, I can't tell you all of them because that's up to the writer. That's the up to the writer to determine what the twist should be, depending on how they're writing the story. Because I have no be all end all answer. That's the beauty of writing, because it's all up to the imagination. Like if you have an active enough of an imagination that you can manage to connect dots in a concise way, then you're probably going to be able to do it. But the changes must make sense. Now, as for the world building, it's pretty much what NNN said in chat. You create rules and stick to them. So with the world building, you create a certain rule. Let's for example, let's say I have a guy. His name is Timmy. He has a magic wand that only shoots fire, and he needs to defeat. He needs to train to defeat the evil wizard, and he trains with his wand and he masters the wand, and the wand only shoots fire. But then the what's his name? The evil wizard also has a wand that shoots fire, and he shoots it better. And so the story pretty much established that the wand. Oh, King of Candor just joined. Hold on. Oh, I can't hear you, man.
keep talking. I'm getting my headphones set up.
Oh, okay. So if the story established that not only the history of the wand, but why the wand shoots only flames because it's a flame wand, then it would be really weird if all of a sudden the wand shot water to defeat the evil wizard. That would be a contrivance, and it goes against what the world building established the wand, how the wand works. So yeah, that's don't just pull that thing out of your. But that's just one example. There's probably more examples that I'm not thinking about, but that I would consider that one example, especially if you're establishing like the lore of the wands and how they work and who's been using them for how long, etc. And number three, the plot. Same as always. Same as what I've always said. Sequence of events. Make sure the sequence matters because you're trying to emulate. Well, not emulate, but well, I mean, yeah, actually, you're emulating aspects of reality, like the logical consistency of reality. So you're applying that to a fictional world, where that fictional world has its own rules that you create, and so you have to adhere to those rules. And if you're gonna break them in a way that uh doesn't break the world building. Now, how would you do that? You would have to see how the change affects the rest of the world, both in the past and in the future. Because if you change something and it changes everything in the past as well in hindsight, and it creates these paradoxes, then you did something wrong. The second question: how many level of
Well, hang
quality?
on one second. So I want to jump in here. Hello, everybody. I'm sorry I'm late. I thought the podcast was starting a bit later. I see there was a change in time that I didn't notice. I'm sorry about that.
Yes,
But good morning, lords and ladies of the internet. I'm the King of Candor, and I'm here to join you in the podcast with my co-host Blackaroonie.
I already did the intro.
I know. I have to do the intro though. That's my job. That's what I live for, sir. I
You
just want to say good morning to everybody. I see that we have an active chat today with Federico Bonazzoni. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, my friend. Um, I like that. I listened to a little bit at the end of your question. What are some of the main characteristics? I think that's a good thing. And now, how many levels of quality storytelling exist? Like, I think that you are misinterpreting it as a hardcore scale. I mean, I don't know how Rooney thinks about it, but it's not so much a there's a 1 out of 10, there's a 2 out of 10, there's a 3 out of 10. You could talk more, and this feels like this feels hot, this feels cold. That's the way that we talk about things with those examples he uses. Good, great, masterpiece. That's what he's talking about. If you want more specific things, that's why numerical scales are helpful because they allow you to understand things in comparison to each other. Now, I don't want to take shots at EFAP, but I hate their scale, and I know most people, who understand media have listened to them. Their scale is completely skewed wrong because what they think is an above average amount of destruction, so like a terrible film, is really an average film because the average is way lower than what they think. Oh no, you're not inconsistent at all, my friend Federico. It's just, I know that you're asking questions, and I'm trying to give you an answer that helps solidify it instead of talking in vagaries. Because I know that a lot of times, like I've tried that on other live streams with other YouTubers, when I try to talk to them about specifics, they only answer it in vagaries because they don't want to give a specific. Because if they do, they are allowed to be wrong, and if they can be wrong, well, that means that they have to, correct themselves and count out of their audience. That's Hassan's huge issue. He has to constantly apologize and move goalposts because every time somebody more radical than him joins his audience, he's got to now shift his positions around. Whereas I don't think Rooney here has that problem, but I want to help you just get a solid answer real quick. Sorry if I interrupted, Rooney.
Yeah, I was trying to be as pragmatic as possible, but I don't think I
Mm-hmm.
would have been able to answer that question in particular because I mean,
Okay.
like I said, I don't really have a specific scale. Like I wanted to have a scale. I went to the server, the EPAP server, and asked in one of the channels, and they told me not to just quantify it, just to because they wanted like a way to properly quantify the quality of a film, and give it like a sort of grade, like a sort of score. But they told me not to, and I don't remember what the argument was, but um, I do remember that they said like not to like quantify it. I don't remember why it was, and I can think of a few reasons why you wouldn't want to quantify it. Because number one, it's an art form. You don't want to give it numbers, but at the same time, I find it a bit conflicting that you can't really quantify it when all EFAP does is quantify the qualities of movies and TV shows and games using a specific standard, and that standard has helped really me in particular. It's helped me, make sure that my story it makes sense within its own world, but it also helps identify what is a good movie and what is a bad movie, and which ones are worth, not worth attention, but which ones are, well, I
So I'm
guess,
going to jump in and help.
yeah.
First, I do want to say nothing is better for you as a creative, as a storyteller, or as any sort of person than watching bad media or consuming bad media. This is a problem, and I'll get back to the other point in a second that I just want to mention. A lot of times, whenever people try to talk about how do I become an author or a filmmaker, they recommend you go watch good films. That's important. That shows you how to do it right. But nothing will inspire you like a garbage piece of media. Because you want something that was just absolutely awful, that had a good idea inside of it that they ruined. You immediately like, I can fix this. I know how to do this right. It's something I tell people all the time when they're trying to get into published works, like for books, because that's more what I deal with. Go read some of the currently published stuff that's mediocre, and you realize just how stupid everybody else is and how much better you can do than them. So you could actually go out there and set it up right. Remember, Movie Bob wrote a book where, he says the console wars with Nintendo and Sega was his Vietnam. That's published. That was unironic. That's not a joke. You
What?
could publish stuff too. Yes.
Oh, oh.
His book is from 2010, writing about how his long and storied career on YouTube. It's from like 2010. There's so much crap has happened. His book, I'm pretty sure, predates Trump.
No.
So,
Come
like,
on.
he hasn't even had his Trump stole his Christmas meltdown that he did.
No, he completely forgot about that.
Just one of my favorite movie moments. So, on the point of having a scale is important for the audience because it's a shorthand. If I tell you that, this is why I disagree with the EFAP audience on, they are way too much in the server talking about art in the way that a layman doesn't like. They talk about art like artists. Everybody hates artists, and they all should be strangled. We all know this because they talk about things in vagaries and terms that are unattainable. Whereas you want nuts and bolts specifics because that helps you as a craftsman understand what to do. Excuse me. Hang on one sec. Sorry, I had a cough coming on.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, what helps a lot of the time is if you say, like, this film has a color grading that's like a 4 or 5 out of 10. What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. But if I say, hey, this film's color grading is just about average. It didn't do anything for me. It's there, but it doesn't detract from it. That's what a 5 out of 10 means. Or, hey, the film is like mostly okay, but it was kind of weird when they shot the night scenes, just how blue everything was. I understand they shot it, on a soundstage during the day and just put a filter on, but it came off kind of weird. Okay, so that's why it's a 4 out of 10. Or you have the Long Night episode from Game of Thrones, which was like, I can't see anything. This is awful. The color grading and the lighting here is terrible. I don't know what's going on. And the director is such a jerk off. He's telling me turn up the gamma on my TV. Like this is some 1920s movie I'm watching.
Yeah. I think Braden could probably attest to that because Braden is he's very well versed in CGI and visuals. Funny thing, the only
regardless of that, but like when you're talking like as a critic, when you're talking about something, your scale is important for your audience because they will be familiar with it.
Yeah.
It's less useful to talk about things as a collective. If everybody's collectively voting on something, I'm not going to get a good idea of what's going on here. A 6 out of 10 movie could be anything. But if I tell you it had, the movie was 6 out of 10, Dune is a 6 out of 10. Why? The original one, the David Lynch one, because it's really freaking weird. It's psychotic and it's entertaining as heck. But oh my gosh, do I not understand what's going on? The storyline is all over the place. You should have read the book first. Like all these different critiques will average it to a 6 out of 10. That's useless as information though. But talking about specific details, like this is good here, this is why this is bad, helps. And now Rosoni says the reason why he made that question rating and storytelling is because I made a lot of time ago a tier list of storytelling, mostly about short animated.
That's good. That's definitely yeah, it's good.
Mhm. Yeah, and at the point, you need to compare things to different things in media. If I, how do I put this? If I know what you love and I know what you hate, I will very easily be able to understand why your rating is something like that. Nothing pisses me off more than films that waste my time. The bloat is real. I cannot stand every time I'm watching a piece of media and it's just gone and on and on, and I'm just waiting for them to get to the frickin' point. Dragging their sand, they're standing in a room talking to each other. There's so many better ways to deliver that information. I know that because I run every week basically a TV show in my room with my D&D campaigns. I do 2 of them a week sometimes. And I've been able to, for over a decade, tell stories that don't tend to drag that much. I know you can do it. You set conversations in interesting locations. You set them doing things. They don't need to be sitting around a table talking. They could be going to the next place while they're talking. They could be having a fight while they're talking. They could be getting, cleaning guns while they're talking. There's so many things you could do. That's why modern comics are so terrible. Because everybody just stands there and talks to each other. Same problem. So that's what you talk about with the critique.
What is the
What is
quality of Dumbo? I haven't seen Dumbo. I couldn't tell you.
So if you want to talk about Dumbo's quality, that's what you need to get into specifics for, like I was saying. So let's say you watch the animated film. You thought the story was very tight. There's not a whole lot of issues going on with Dumbo. Because as I remember, there really isn't. So that would rank it as high on the story aspect. You then say, well, how's the animation? It's gorgeous, the Dumbo animation. So that puts it high. Then you got to talk about things like, I'm sure some people want to talk about the racist crows and how that would lower the film for them. For some people, that might raise the film. I'm just going to put it to the side and ignore it 'cause I don't want to deal with that. We're talking, just trying to get objective stuff. So as you go through, you can start going through. How does the sound quality? The sound quality is a little bit poor because it's an older film. Okay, so that takes it down a little bit. The visual storytelling is a little bit weird at times. They were doing very experimental stuff with some of the animation, which is cool, but it kind of throws off the vibe of the film. When Dumbo gets drunk, it's like he's just smoked the entire, thing of opium. All right, that's weird. That's how you go through and you figure out a quality. So I would personally land on Dumbo probably in a 7 or 8 out of 10. It's a lot of fun. It's a good film. It's got some enough flaws that it can't be a 10 out of 10 perfect. But I explained it to you. If you just say Dumbo 8 out of 10, that's useless to anybody. That's what I think the problem with the scales and objective measurements come from. When the measurement replaces everything. That's why whenever you look at like a Jeremy Johns review, he goes in and he tells you a little bit about stuff. Not always. He's usually still way too brief for what I would like in a movie review. But he goes into it enough to explain what his thought process behind it. That makes his scale way easier to understand. Drinker's another one. Even though Drinker doesn't have an objective scale, like he doesn't have 4 out of 10, 8 out of 10s, no. You can tell as he's talking why he didn't like a film or why he did like a film. It's very easy and it's very useful because you can only deal in comparisons.
I think Drinker's framework for analyzing film is similar to that of EFAP's. No, I'm pretty sure it's the same. Although it's a lot more concrete with him.
EFAP tends to give numbers, Drinker don't.
Ah, no, I've been interested in I've been interested in like percentages. So like how school grades stuff like it they give you like sometimes schools will give you like a 100% score, and then depending on what it is you do, you either maintain your score or the score drops. Um, that's something I've been interested in doing, but I've been wanting to implement specific aspects like for example, just every conceivable aspect of a movie that could help it stand out in quality. Like for example, there's the writing, obviously divided into categories like character writing, and then the plot and the world building. Then we have more style stuff regarding the style, like the visuals, like the CGI, for example. the editing, and the then we have the score and how it affects the movie, the soundtrack and all that. And based off of what all of these do, I've been thinking, oh, we can extract like a proper percentage. Like how many pegs does it take down? Like how many plot holes does it? How many plot holes until the quality just goes down to zero, or how many? Like you know what I mean, right? I've been interested in that, but for that I'd have to, I guess, learn a lot more about movies like CGI and like learn about music and all that to so I was just thinking and just isolating that to just be writing. But then we run into the issue where well actually no, I personally don't think there is an issue with doing that. It's just that it seems people are opposed to that idea and I'm not really sure why because I think it would be a lot more helpful to quantify what makes a movie good or bad as opposed to just vaguely saying what the problems are and not giving a proper score because a score would help people understand just how bad or just how good a movie really is.
So the percentiles are just a 10 out of 10 rating as well. It's the same metric. Take any 10 out of 10 times it by 100 and you have a percentile.
No, yeah. I'm just saying like the
So if I
idea
say a
to
film's
me.
6 out of 10, there. Now, if you're talking about the way it is weighted, with the average of you're supposed to have being a 7 out of 10, because that's what, theoretically in high schools, a 70% is considered average,
Hmm.
which is dumb. But if that's the scale you want to go with, that's what a lot of games journalism goes with. That's what a lot of the people go with, where like 7 out of 10 is considered average because they were raised in high school. I think it's stupid to do that because you're opening up way too much space for the bad films and you're narrowing down what it's a 10 out of 10 to the point where it's almost useless. I think that there are so many bad films out there. That's one of the things I think is the problem with like EFAP. They haven't seen god awful media. By the way, Federico, I'm glad that you were happy with the information. Any more questions, feel free to ask them in chat.
Oh yeah.
But I do think that because EFAP hasn't seen horror shows, they've never seen things that will truly make you want to commit, on a Minecraft thing because it is so boring. God, Manos: The Hands of Fate was one of the only films I've watched that I legitimately thought about just ending it, but I had to finish it for the meme.
uh, I mean, I'm pretty sure they could attest a counter with. Well, we've seen The Room, we've seen The Last Jedi. They could probably respond to that, but I don't know. I think there's more. I think there might be worse movies than those, and I know I haven't seen like as many movies as they have or even you have, but
I'm telling you,
I've seen
Manos: The
enough to
Hands of
know.
Fate that is an objective 1 out of 10. If you go watch it, you will hate yourself. You will hate everything about it.
Hmm. Yeah, like even me who hasn't seen as many movies as like a lot of people in the I've seen enough because I have seen quite a bit of movies, like not to to the point to call myself a cinephile, but I have seen enough to know that there are definitely movies worse than what the ones that they have reviewed. So yeah, like I know for a fact I've seen some of them. I think I'm not sure. Well, actually, like the more recent example is probably Damsel. I don't think they've talked about Damsel, but that's like a more recent example. Damsel is a horrible movie. Like I was watching it with some friends, and one of my friends and I were ripping that movie apart. We were tearing that movie a new asshole, and people were like, "Bruh, stop! Let us enjoy the movie." And I'm like, "No, no, no! I enjoy this. Shut up. This movie's garbage." I ended up finishing the movie at home because I had to go, but I ended up finishing the movie at home just to see how bad it got, and it got worse. It got worse. So yeah,
I
like
promise you, not as bad as Manos. And I'll explain why. That film was unpleasant to watch, but you could still watch it and you didn't get physically sick from the way it was shot. Manos did that to me.
oh, so it wasn't just like the writing; it was also just the visuals. Like if you can't even see the movie properly, then because like movies are a visual medium, and so if the visual part is compromised, then
Visual and auditory. It was just worst experience of my life.
uh, so
Um.
you got raped from all senses.
Uh huh.
Ah, yeah, no, that sounds bad.
Did you read the question in chat real quick?
Uh, you forget about the characters in Dumbo just when mentioned.
So
I
on
haven't
that
seen
subject,
Dumbo, so I can't tell you.
it's okay. I just had my mouth full. I wanted you to read it real quick. So to answer that question, the characters in Dumbo are important, and they should be talked about when you're doing a review. Um, I know it just only mentioned the crows, but Dumbo himself is important. His naivete and childlike nature will help establish things that are going on with him as a person and show you insight in the work. He's our POV character, so he needs to be creative, and they do a good job of that. All the other characters in Dumbo are set up to help him along the story, so they all are effective. None of them stand out to me as a character that I want to see a secondary film of, but none of them are so terrible that I want to just strangle them and remove them from the media.
Hmm.
They're either serviceable or good. So, there you go. There's your Dumbo finishing.
Yeah, I also, by the way, I have a whole playlist dedicated to writing and understanding me and analyzing media. I have a whole playlist in my channel. It's if you want to check it out. It's got 117 videos, and you should if you want. You don't have to watch every single video. I don't expect you to. I mean, nobody, even I haven't watched every single video. A lot of it has just been from recommendations, and I've saved them based off of said recommendations because I thought they were useful. They would be useful for both myself because I usually watch the playlist whenever I need something to remind myself of something. But yeah, no, it's a it's a playlist. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna link it in the description of the stream because it's a very useful tool that myself and others have used. Like one of my friends is currently writing a story based off of our friend group, and I showed him not the podcast. I showed him the playlist, and he says that he's used it before.
I'll do you one better. I'll link it in chat.
Okay, show off.
What? I can help you out. I'm a moderator here for a reason.
I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I already got it linked. Don't worry. Yeah, no. I was hoping not to deviate too much from Dune, but
Well, good. You're back on it. It's a good time to jump back to Dune now.
yeah,
All the other topics are finished, so let's talk about Dune.
Dune Part 2 specifically. Dune Part 2.
Ground.
It's a movie that I adore. We were talking about right now before you showed up and before Federico in chat asked the question. We were talking about how religions can be manipulated, and I was postulating that that's not necessarily a fault of the religion. It's more so a power that humans have, the ability to manipulate um
So
these things to their own whims, to their own
it
goals.
is
Because I
it
know
is
people.
actually a fault in a religion, and this is why Christianity is interesting. Most religions are extremely dogmatic, where you cannot question the beliefs. Christianity is specifically set up in a way that allows you to and encourages you to have discussions and questioning of beliefs. We are meant to debate the Bible. That's an important part of Christianity. The shut up and believe me thing tends to ruin a lot of religion.
Yeah,
That's what Dune is an example against. It's quite interesting that the creator was definitely more atheistic leaning. He could not justify taking Christianity as the core of this religious beliefs. He took Islamic tradition, Buddhist tradition, and a little bit of Hindustani traditions. But really, it's Buddhism mixed with Islam is what he went with. That's interesting that those are the two he picked. That means that as a creator, he thought those two religions and those who follow them are the most open to manipulations of religious mind. it's quite interesting that Islam does not really encourage a lot of debate as much as Christianity does. Modern Islam, especially. Old Islam did. That's why, if you ever wonder why Islam used to, like the Arabs used to have this golden age, where they just dominated the world and they, wrecked everybody. That was back then when they encouraged different ideas, different debates, and they had technological progress. Since about the roughly at the end of the Ottomans, when Wahhabism took over, they had this idea of fundamentalism where you take over and destroy intelligence because intelligence is against God for some reason. That's where they've fallen, and that's about the time that Herbert would have been writing Dune.
Yeah. There is some Christian influence with the with Dune. However, like the Orange Catholic Bible, for example, it's a mishmash of both Catholicism and Islam, to my knowledge. And I mean, that's one thing I've always wanted to see. Like, I wanted to see what the axioms of the religion itself are. Like, what would you even call it? Because I know for a fact you're not going to call this religion Orange Catholic Bible. That's not a name for a religion. That's the name of the literature that you would read in that religion. The religion itself, like, I don't think it. Maybe it has a name. I'm not sure if it has a name or not. But if it does, then I would be happy to know. But I part of the reason why Dune interests me so much is because I want to extract, what people believe in
Oh, it's
this
just true
religion.
Christianity. That's why.
What?
It's just true Christianity. That's why. So it's Orange Catholic Bible. So what it is it's a mix of all the important religious beliefs on Earth that have been gone through and forced, like, to essentially to battle together. According to what I'm reading here on Reddit, and I'm going to go to the Dune Wiki next. So Reddit is Reddit, so be careful.
Yeah.
The Orange Catholic Bible is called such because orange is the color for Protestantism, which is related to Northern Ireland and to the Dutch. So therefore, it is a Protestant Catholic Bible mixing together. That's the idea that he had um, with combining them. It goes back to that the religions merged together back together at the top.
What makes it Catholic though?
So Catholic doesn't mean Catholic that you think. What the word Catholic doesn't necessarily denote the Roman Catholic Church. Catholic is it's kind of like Orthodox doesn't also mean the Orthodoxy Church.
Oh yeah.
Catholic is all embracing. That's the term. It covers
Oh.
everything.
Oh, so that because I remember when I first went to that Orthodox church, I went there. One of the prayers involved. We believe in one holy Orthodox church, not Orthodox, a Catholic church. I was like
Mhm.
that when I heard that for the first time, and when I read that in that Orthodox Bible that I own. I was very thrown off because I was wondering, wait, real Catholic? I thought I signed up for the Orthodox. Why is it called Catholic? I get it now. Okay, 'cause I was a bit confused with that, but I get it. Um, I guess that makes
I
sense though, because they're also adding, because like one of the core tenets of the Bible is you will not add or remove anything of the to the good book, or else curses will be added and blessings will be removed, yada yada. So I find it
You
interesting.
sure about that?
I mean that's what I remember the Bible saying. Like you won't add or remove anything from the Bible. In the case of say the Orthodox, in their case, they're pretty much adding what has been removed. So it's I don't know. I mean, I guess like if you're adding what's been removed, then I guess it cancels out. But in the case of the Orthodox Catholic Bible, they pretty much added an entire segment dedicated to AI. Like you will not create a machine in the likeness of a man. So that's like one of the holy commandments of the Nicene Creed. So yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah, that's I was forgetting the name, but yeah. Um, but yeah, no, like that's one of the commandments of the Orange Catholic Bible, and I find it interesting because I one could say, oh well, it's a modern well, not modern, but a commandment apt for the times.
Well, I can read to you all of them if you want.
Oh
There's a
please,
list online of every reference from the Orange Catholic Bible that we have.
oh please do.
And this is from the Dune Wiki. This is from the books. It's not for any games or anything like that. According to this is original Dune media, as it's called.
Hmm.
These are the only parts that we know for sure are in the Bible, the Orange Catholic Bible. Dot, 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 dot. And on the seventh day, he rested, which implies Genesis is in there, the whole story of how the universe was created. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. The meek shall inherit the universe, which is interesting because that's an adaptation of the meek shall inherit the earth.
Yeah. I guess it's an expansion on the subject since now the Imperium is a galaxy-faring society.
Mm-hmm. Here's a really interesting one. Men, finding no answers to the Sunanan, that the 10,000 religious questions from Sharia, now apply their own reasoning. All men seek to be enlightened. Religion is but the most ancient and honorable way in which men have striven to make sense out of God's universe. Scientists seek lawfulness of events. It is the task of religion to fit man into this lawfulness.
Interesting. What
The
does it
next one.
mean?
Oh, do you want me to go into detail on that one? Because that's very easy to break that one down.
That's
This is
why we're here. Yeah.
all right. So this specific part here is talking about how you, as a modern man, you shouldn't fear the natural world. You shouldn't fear science. Science is the way we venerate and understand God better. The way that God created us, he didn't need to make us out of dust. He used evolution to bring us forward. He coaxed us into being the way we have to. It's impossible for random chance to make us the way we are in such a quick amount of time, and that's how God did it. God happened to make the earth get hit by this thing in this way, which spun it in this way. These are the measurements in the way that we get to experience God's world. It's not that, the water cycle is some mystical thing that we can't ever understand. No, by us learning the water cycle, we understand more of God's power and more of his beauty by going through. That's what the Bible here is saying. This
Uh-huh.
specific one.
Uh-huh. I would have to I mean, saying, he used evolution for humanity. I mean, because
Well,
it
that's what the Bible here says. That's why it says scientists seek the lawfulness of events.
Oh,
That's
yeah. Oh, no,
talking
that's
about
what they're
how.
saying. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like that's what this goes with. That's the idea here. Is scientists understand how an event happened, and then religious people say, so now you understand what evolution is. Well, this is how evolution fits still in with God. This is why we have heliocentrism. Oh, the sun is the center of the universe. Okay, that makes sense because God is supposed to be the center of our universe, and if He's like the sun, that fits. With everything. Oh, we're not the center of the universe anymore. It turns out the supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy is. Well, that makes even more sense because we're just orbiting God in His vastness and nobleness.
Yeah, so pretty much
That's
fitting God into, like, well, not fitting God, but like fitting science into it. So, like, pretty
yes,
much, science is an extension of his. It's like the pragmatic understanding of creation as a whole.
yeah,
And
and that's what this Bible, the Orange Catholic Bible in Dune, is talking about. So we've only got a couple more of these lines. The next one is interesting.
yeah.
When religious and when law and religious duty are one, seldom you're. Hey, this is written stupidly. Give me a second. Oh, there's a typo here. That's why. Okay. When law and religious duty are one, your selfdom encloses the universe. Basically, when you make rules and laws that allow you to fulfill your religious duties, you are able to live a fulfilled life, and now the universe will be abiding by it too. That's pretty basic.
Hmm.
This one's even more basic. Thou shalt not disfigure the soul.
Yeah, I think
Also,
that ties
thou
down to like
shalt
what
not
they
make
were
a machine in the
talking.
likeness of man. I'm sorry, I was not done reading.
No, yeah, I was saying what you just said. Yeah.
Well, I was done reading the two. It's together.
Oh, yeah.
Thou shalt not disfigure the soul, and thou shalt not make a machine in the likeness of a human mind.
Oh,
Both are the same.
I think
Very cool.
the Reverend Mother. Let me see, because I have the book with me right here. Let me. I think the Reverend Mother.
You hear that, boy? He's got the book that he definitely read.
Oh, shut up. The Reverend Mother said in the. Let me see. Set you free. Runs Catholic. Uh, right out of the Butlerian Jihad and the Orange Catholic Bible, she said, but what the OC Bible should have said is, "Thou shalt not make a machine to to counterfeit a human mind. I don't. For me personally, I don't really see how that's different, but because at the end of the day, it's just forbidding machines from I guess superseding the human mind, and it all ties down to to not there being any computers in Dune, but there clearly are. It's just that they're not intelligent. They're not artificial intelligence. They're just like clockwork, for example. Clockwork is definitely a
Well, no, it's
machine.
just saying don't make AI. That's what that is all about right there.
Yeah, it's not saying, oh, don't make technology. It's just don't make technology that can think. Or like a computer. A computer can a computer think like I'm inclined to believe yes, but maybe not like how a human does. Like because a machine's version of thinking would be to process data, similar to like how a mentat processes data, and mentats in this universe are supposed to be better than computers, but not like thinking as in you know with emotion and bias or well again like the mentats eliminate as many emotional biases as they can. Part of the reason why, spoiler alert, Paul in Messiah, part of his tragedy is that he becomes a true mentat and isolates himself from everyone, including Chani. So yeah.
So, speaking of mentats, one of the other uh, ones of the Bible here is Psalm 29. For by thee I have run through a troop, and by my God I have leapt over a wall.
Huh?
That's
What
one of the
was that?
things. Somebody must have quoted that somebody else.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that verse is in the Bible.
It is. That's Psalm 29.
Oh, I mean, I don't read. Okay, you know what? Fair enough. I probably don't read Psalms all that much. I'm more interested in like Proverbs and yeah. No, I'm not a Psalms guy.
Yeah, you're more interested in Revelations than anything else that scares you. So,
No. I like Proverbs
next,
and Ecclesiastes.
religion. Religion often partakes of the myth of progress that shields us from the terrors of an uncertain future.
I need to
What do you got
learn
on that
to.
one, boy?
I need to learn to read prose. Jesus Christ.
Really?
Yeah, like I know like I like using prose in my poems, but like I often have to look up a lot of the words to see how they fit together in the sentence because I can probably write it like a lot better than I could read it because like if reading my own prose is a lot easier than reading someone else's. I would consider my prose and my um
Okay, well, this is easy then. So I'll read it again for chat. Religion often partakes of the myth of progress that shields us from the terrors of an uncertain future. What that means is religion believes that we are moving towards a progress and a goal. That's bad because we're not actually moving towards any progress or goal. The future is terrifying and uncertain.
uh I
That's
thought
what that
because
line
what I
means
got
there.
from that was that actually no, never mind. I'm done. Okay. Any more verses or is that it?
Oh, there's a lot more.
Dude, how many verses?
The universe is God's. It is one thing, a wholeness against which all separations may be identified. Transient life, even that self aware and reasoning life, which we call sentient, holds only fragile trusteeship on any portion of the wholeness.
Hmm.
That's basically saying that God is supreme being and that we are all part of God, which is interesting because that's a differentiation from Christianity, which we are independent beings who wish to exist within God. This is saying that we are like literally part of God.
Isn't that where's that from? I know it's from a very specific denomination, but I don't remember which one exactly. Or just a whole different religion altogether that like we are God, you know? That sounds almost Hindu. Saying like we are God, basically.
I
That
wouldn't say Hindu, but I know what you're saying. There is a heresy about this. I don't remember what it is. I'm very sweepy,
ah well, I mean,
but you're correct.
the whole point of these of reading these verses, Bible verses, is just to really see what it is that the Imperium believes in. But the issue is that we don't really see anybody uphold these, because we're assuming that the Ten Commandments are also present in this orange Catholic Bible. It doesn't seem like anybody's really upholding any of them, especially the Bene Gesserit. So,
All right,
or the
almost done.
Harkonnens. Like it's funny. I said this at the beginning. I said this at the very beginning of the stream, where the least religious people, the Harkonnens, are also the most immoral people, which just harkens back to the idea that we need religion. As much as like it could be weaponized, we still kind of need it as a moral framework. I mean, Christianity has been the one religion that has worked the best for society, at least as it evolved. So like seeing that the Harkonnens are all pedophiles, and yeah, like they're the least religious. What did Frank Herbert mean by this? What did he mean by this? Yeah, no. We've been talking more about the book and less about the movie, because I know for a fact like this whole stream is about the movie, but
Is it? I thought we were just reading quotes from the Orange Bible as we lose viewership.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, no. Dune Part Two. I actually have a little bit of an anecdote. It's very short.
Go ahead. I haven't seen this shit, so it's all you, buddy.
Yeah. Short
I don't
anecdote.
watch movies. I simply cope and seethe all day.
Short anecdote about the movie. I did not find the popcorn bucket. I didn't get it. They ran out. They sold out, and I was angry, upset, and horny, unable to quench my lust for the popcorn bucket. But when Margot Fenring showed up, everything was fixed. Let's just say that. If you know, you know. Margot Fenring, played by a French woman. Disgusting. She just had to be French. Yeah, no. Uh, not gonna lie, I haven't seen a movie with her, so like I was expecting her voice to sound a lot deeper, but I'm guessing she made her voice sound that way to appeal to Fade Rotha's mommy kink, because he's got more than one kink. He does not just like he's not just a sadomasochist. He's also got a mommy kink because he killed his mother. I don't know how that works. I have no idea how that works. But yeah, no. The Betty Jesuit pussy got him acting relatively normal for 5 minutes. Yeah, no, that scene was. I'm kind of happy that scene was cut, because I don't think I would want to see Fade Rotha doing the dirty with a Benny Gesserit, especially considering that this Benny Gesserit is married to, what was the name of the guy? Not the character, the actor. Because the husband was played by the guy that did the leader in the Incredible Hulk. Tim was it Tim Blake? I think it was Tim Blake Nelson. Yeah, his role was cut from the movie for time, but Tim Blake Nelson was supposed to be Margot Fenring's husband. Now that I
These
think,
also sound like made up Star Wars characters. Like, ah, yes, and then later Paul went to talk to Ivanos Sleaze Baggins.
bro.
That's a real character, by the way. That's the guy who tries to sell crack to Obi-Wan in Episode 2. You want to buy some death sticks?
Oh, that was
I don't want
him.
to buy.
Oh,
That's Ivanos Sleaze Baggins.
ah,
Great fucking name.
it's
I
right up
love
there.
I love Glub Shido characters. They're my
Yeah,
favorite
like I
type
was,
of
I was just
character.
gonna say it's right up there with Glove Shitto. It's like
So that's not a
whenever
so that's not a real character for
I
the
know
record,
it's not.
Glub
It's a
Shido,
concept. I
but it's a
know.
type of character.
Yeah, I know. I know it's not a real
It
character,
sucks
but
because Disney Star Wars ruined Glub Shido characters.
it's just named like characters with like these ridiculously sounding
Well,
names.
they did them on purpose instead of like beforehand. There's a little bit of charm because there's a bit of naivete, that they named something like, Sneed Copenhagen. And you're like, all right, that's fucking funny as shit because they didn't expect that. You
Sneed
know,
Copenhagen.
yeah.
That reminds me like a lot of Transformer, like Autobot names, like Cliff Jumper, Hand Job.
Oh, you come here often, hand job?
Come here often. Cliff Jumper. Cliff Jumper is my favorite because that's real.
I believe it. That's what I'm saying. There's just an innocence and a charm and autism in the old naming system. Whereas if you look at now, it's like, oh yeah, I named this character L.O. Blasty because I really like the Beastie Boys' Hello Nasty album.
Uh,
That's dumb. Kill yourself, JJ.
Jesus Christ, man.
I hate you and your stupid, stupid company.
Glub Shitto, my favorite. No, there's. I think I've heard
So
of the
I'm gonna try to
concept,
aim
but in a
use this.
different
I'm
name.
so I'm gonna be honest. I'm dying of boredom here with this Dune thing. I know you want to get to it. Start. I'm gonna keep trying to electrocute you until you get back on track with it. Speak
Okay.
faster.
Okay. Okay.
Speak with swiftness and alacrity, young Rooney.
Okay. So Dune, I have a well. I mean, I had a lot to say regarding the religion, but also
Go ahead.
as a movie, I think the movie is good. Shocker, I know. Now, I have seen a lot of people say like they hate the movie. I personally don't. The only reason I could possibly see for people hating the movie is that it's not a one-to-one adaptation. But regarding Dune, like that was never gonna be the case. Like that there was never gonna be a one-to-one adaptation, and I think they know that. I think they hate the movie more so because it exists rather than any anything within the movie itself, because well, I mean there are things to hate about the movie if you're a book fan, because I mean a lot of the changes that they made, right? For example, Chani got turned into a bit of a skeptic, which I mean I personally think it works better for the movie because it helps the Fremen not appear as like one-dimensional followers. Now one can
Well,
argue, well,
it
there's
also does something important. The
okay,
Dune novels allow us to see into people's minds because it's basically everybody's mind reading each other the whole time. So you get full explanations and pontifications on these things. There are entire chapters of Dune where it's just people thinking at each other. That's
people
lost
thinking
here.
at each other. Yeah,
Well,
no, like
it's true.
I get it, but I don't
Well,
think
no, it's important that it's lost here because the fact that it's not here anymore, that's why Chani needs to be a bit more atheistic in her beliefs to question it because Herbert's philosophy is that it's bad for people to follow the Messiah like this. That Paul cannot live up to the things he's put on because he's only a man who's prophesied as the Messiah. If the Messiah was truly great, he wouldn't have fall the way Paul eventually does. Now, dude gets stupid and weird later on with dune worms having sex with each other, but that's 2 or 3 books down the line. As of now, we're set up good. The only issue is Chani should not have left Paul. She should have been skeptical and stayed with him because she needs to have his kid. She's his concubine. She's his side piece. She needs to have his kid so he can have the future of Dune set up. By her leaving like that, they're going to need to awkwardly shoehorn her back in or completely remove Paul's children, which is not a good idea.
um they did have sex in the movie, so I think it's implied that she might have a kid in the future, but I don't know how they're going to implement that in Doom Messiah.
I don't know either. The time scale is completely different because Chani and Paul's wife already had their kids at the end of Dune. The Fremen wander the world for like 2 years before they do the revolution in the novel.
The Holy War.
Yeah, the
Um
Butlerian Jihad.
the Muad'Dib Jihad.
Yeah, I wish Muad'Dib didn't leave the server. Back down to 2 people. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think her leaving is just a symptom of a greater problem because from what I know, Denis Villeneuve hates dialogue. He's more of a visual storytelling type of guy. But the thing is that Dune is very dialogue heavy. So, like, if you're trying to adapt something that's heavy in dialogue without the use of dialogue, yeah, you see the problem. Like, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. You're gonna need dialogue at some capacity. You can't just ignore it simply because you don't want it. You don't want to like over beat the audience over the head with exposition or dialogue. But I like some of it, like a lot of the dialogue in Dune, is not even exposition. A lot of it is just people thinking, like you said. But it's also just people describing situations. You know, people just talking to each other. So and it's not necessarily just exposition. Like there is a lot of dialogue that is needed that is lost. We have Paul saying, "I will love you for as long as I breathe," and then he says, "I will marry your daughter, Prince Emperor. I will put my babies in her. I'm gonna I'm gonna stick my mua dick inside her." And then he says nothing to Chani. He just goes, "Yep, I'm gonna fuck the Emperor's daughter," and then just dips. Says, "Time to begin the holy war. Like it's Muad'Dibin time, bitches." And then like how else is Chani supposed to take that? Like the issue here is that the whole point is I will love you for as long as I breathe. And then he just does something completely opposite to what it is that he just said. So it seems like he's lying. So I don't see the harm in just explaining to Chani that this was the only, like, a simple line like this was the only way. Like Doctor Strange in Infinity, like this was the only way, or this had to be done, or maybe like he just says this has to be done before going up to the Emperor, and then after he goes up to Chani again and says, "I will love you for as long as I breathe," and then they ask him, "Oh, what do we do now, Usul? Green, where do we go now, Usul?" And he goes, "Oh, to paradise." And boom, the beginning of the Holy War. That scene is like 30 seconds longer, and I don't see the harm done in making the scene 30 seconds longer. Come on. What's 30 seconds in a 3 hour long movie? You could say
30
it's
seconds.
30 seconds. Not that
30
significant.
seconds in the 3 hour movie is still 30 seconds. Da
Arguably
da
not
da
as
do 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 do.
it's not arguably it's not that significant. But I mean it is significant of a change because, it falls in line with the book, and at the same time it also erases the contrivance of Chani just leaving Paul. But yeah, no, I don't. That did not need to happen that way. That's like one of the major problems I have with the movie. Like that did not need to happen the way it did. But it all comes down to Denis' aversion to dialogue. Oh, hold on.
Hi.
Jesus Christ. My computer just turned on and off again. I don't know what happened.
So I guess the stream's over.
No, 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 no. The stream is still going. Somehow.
Excellent.
I don't know how that happened. If she was a dude, she'd be Zendaya. Yeah, yeah. I
Got
mean,
him.
Zendaya. Funny thing. Speaking of which, Tom
Funny
Holland.
thing about sexy men. Oh, sorry, Rooney, continue.
Funny thing. Tom Holland's new movie with uh this other quote unquote
Say it. Go
woman.
ahead. Get canceled.
Like I know I'm serious. They're doing that Romeo and Juliet movie, and I'm wondering like, wait, Romeo is supposed to kill himself because he can't have Juliet? What? Why does Juliet have a mustache? Like I don't get it. I, I, she looks like the son of Ice Cube. I'm sorry, friendly fire. I know, but like, come on, just cast Zendaya again. Have Zendaya and Tom Holland and
Yeah, that way he can watch her get fucked again.
I mean, he did get his revenge by pretending to be a big titty goth GF, and let's just say He got blacked. I hate remembering that, but that is a thing that happened. See, this is what happens with Hollywood. Like these new actors in Hollywood, these I have lots of questions to ask. If it's anything regarding Tom Holland and Zendaya, I think it's best if you don't ask them.
You
Hopefully
know what?
it's
No, this is the Tom Holland Zendaya podcast hour. We're going to go. Let's see. What's their celebrity relationship called? Tom Holland and Zendaya.
please don't.
Let's see. Oh no,
No.
they were both caught in public yesterday without holding each other's hands. Oof. Ah. She walked 2 feet in front of him before turning around and going back to his side. Is this a sign of trouble in the relationships?
Holy shit. Yeah, no, yeah. Back to Dune Part 2. No more of that.
Rumors swirling amid breakup. Tom Holland comes out with epic date to Zendaya. Prove the haters wrong. I truly care for her.
Yeah, okay. Dune, please, Dune.
The Hindustani Times. Spider-Man 4 Eyes Falls filming
Dune!
with Zendaya and Euphoria 3 delayed.
Dune. Okay.
We'll talk about it. You're gonna interrupt me. Talk about it, you gabagool.
I'm thinking. Because I have plenty to say. All right? I'm just thinking of what I want to start with for. Well, god damn it. Okay. Um, shit. The, the worms. The worms. I love the worms. I don't know what to say. I know that I want to say it, but I don't know how to say it. I don't know. I love the worm. Okay, I love the worm. Oh, Jessica, Jessica in this movie is probably both the best and worst thing, at least for me anyway. Because I mean, she's not badly written. The thing is just that okay, so over time, she becomes less and less of a mother and more so a reverend mother, which is like a less of a motherly figure to Paul than anything. Like she loses a lot of her humanity as she becomes the reverend mother. She becomes a conduit for the prophecy, basically. She becomes the person that facilitates the prophecy to be fulfilled, as she always has, because she's Benny Gesserit. But her motherly qualities are somewhat lost. We still get a glimpse of her humanity when somebody mentions Duke Leto. She's still got the hots for her hubby, but I don't know. It just she doesn't feel human anymore, and that made me sad because Jessica was one of my favorite characters in Dune. That has not which has nothing to do with the fact that she was played by Rebecca Ferguson. Nothing to do with that. No, not at all. No. No. Completely irrelevant to the fact that she was played by Jessica.
What else do you want to talk about?
Um, shit.
I'm just,
I hate it when people compare Paul Atreides with Anakin Skywalker and Aaron Yeager because Aaron Yeager's stupid. Oh yeah, I killed my own mom. Why? I don't know. Lol. The ending to Attack on Titan sucked, by the way. Um,
which ending? There's 5 fucking endings and they all suck.
Attack on Titan. The one where Armin and Aaron are talking about, Aaron and shit. I forgot the details, but I know for a fact that they're in the paths, they're in this ocean, and Aaron is explaining to Armin everything that happened, and Armin was telling him, "No, Aaron, that's wrong. No, stop it. No." And then he's like, "You know what you did? You know what you did? You pushed Mikasa away, and now Mikasa's gonna go fuck Jean." And he's like, "No, no, please, no. I love Mikasa. I don't want Mikasa to leave me." And then he just devolves into a pathetic whining bitch. That one.
I want to hit Mikasa with a brick.
Mikasa's a creepy. Like she's not even like what is she? What kind of character is she? She's
You know what
creepy as
else? What
hell.
I feel like Mikasa would probably have some interesting thoughts on Dune Part Two, starring Jake Paul. Continue.
Yeah, no, Mika's is like a creepy bitch. Like
I
she
meant
always.
continue with Dune.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Let's get this topic done with so I can have fun. I can't help you with this.
Uh, no,
Get your shit
I
done.
hate
This is the
the whole
third
point was that
podcast
I
in a
hated
row.
when the whole point was that I hated when people compare Paul Atreides because unlike Aaron Yeager, Paul Atreides actually is actually well written. Aaron Yeager is not. Like if we were to compare Aaron Yeager with Paul Atreides, because I'm guessing they're basing themselves off of the fact that they're both idealistic teenagers that get prescient powers of prescience, and because of that they lose their humanity to achieve a goal that is the lesser of two evils, but it's still pretty wrong. And I mean, no, I mean, yeah, because Aaron Yeager unleashed the rumbling that killed most of humanity, if not all of, like 98% of humanity, whereas Paul Atreides led an holy war across the universe like unquenchable fire, a war that waves the Atreides banner in his father's name, fanatical legions worshipping at the shrine of his father's skull, a war in his name, everyone shouting his name, blah blah blah. I think Paul might have killed more people than Aaron because Aaron just focused on the one planet. Paul went through multiple planets, which I think is worse because more people died there than they would have in the rumbling. But yeah, no. And as for the comparison with Anakin, I only watched the prequel trilogy once, so I couldn't tell you how accurate of a comparison this is. So, okay, you could help me with that.
I can't.
Why not?
I have not seen Dune.
I thought that
I
was a
said that.
joke.
I said that 3 times here. I've not seen this shit.
I thought it was a joke. I thought you were joking.
No, Dune does not appeal to me at all. The book is it's important, but it's a slog. Fight me, anybody who disagrees.
That
Kill you and your family.
that
But
here
like,
here.
I've read it, and it's just I don't. It doesn't appeal to me to see a movie off of it. It's very much up its own ass and high minded about stuff.
Okay, well,
Like I don't feel like dealing with it.
can you at the very least describe Anakin just for as a point of comparison? Because I guess I could make the comparison.
Certainly. So I would describe Anakin, and this is describing him, not as what should be, but as he is. Anakin is a petulant child who's been prophesized to restore order to the universe, when in reality he brings about its inevitable destruction and leading to a dark age because he doesn't know how to keep it in his pants. And he has kids when he shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's like 20% Paul, at least, maybe
Yeah,
40.
no,
But just because they're so close doesn't mean they're the same character. Anakin doesn't know he's prophesized, for example, and I'm pretty sure Paul finds out and, uses the Messiah prophecy to his own personal advantage.
yeah. Um, Paul, I don't think is a necessarily like a bad. He's definitely like a not a moral person, but he's not evil. There are things like if there's one thing I hate about Dune Messiah in particular, based off of what I know, is that they made it like it sounds like Frank Herbert wanted to really hammer home the point that Paul is not really the good guy, and I get that, and I feel like that's probably for the best considering the message that the movie is, showing the audience, but that doesn't mean you have to make him irre- irredeemable or like just an irredeemable asshole. Because I think in Dune Messiah, someone told me that there's something about Paul looking at his sister in a strange way. What are you doing, Step Muad'Dib? That kind of stuff. There was also just him being a dick in general. I don't know the details of that because I haven't read Dune Messiah. But based off of what I've read, there's something along the lines of involuntary incest and all that. I don't know. But they made Paul a just an asshole. But like you could have what it is you want, explaining to people that Paul is not the bad guy without turning him into a jerk. Because that just felt like that just feels like character assassination. I don't think that was necessary. I think Frank Herbert overcorrected on a problem. I feel like he like too much of a good thing can become a bad thing, and I think this is the perfect example of that. I don't like how that was done. I think that was not necessary. It detracts from who Paul is. Now Paul, it is debated because there is some mystery to his character. It is debated like what are his motives? Are his motives justified, or like are they selfish? Because in the very beginning of Dune Part Two, Jessica says your father didn't believe in revenge, and then he says, "Well, I do." The Black Adam meme. He just goes, "Well, I do." And I mean, yeah, um, his morals were probably dictated by like I mean he Paul's existence is purely well it's not purely political, but there's a lot of political undertones to his very existence. I mean the whole issue with the Bene Gesserit and the Missionaria Protectiva and the breeding and the breeding like the breeding programs and all that and what have you. Like a lot of it is political. So like I mean I don't think was he loved. That was my question. Was he loved as he should have? Because like was he raised in a functioning household? Because the mother and the father were present in his life, but like were they? I don't know enough about Paul Atreides' childhood to really identify any trauma in his childhood or anything. Because like the whole story takes place when Paul is like 15, but I don't know how he was raised. I don't know if he was abused. I don't know if he was neglected. Because he was trained, but and he has spent enough time with his parents to not only love his parents and like on a surface level son a father son type relationship,
No, he
but
loves his parents on a sexual level.
he loves his parents.
Obviously.
He loves them enough to mourn for them, but I don't think enough to like be all uppity about about like if dad hasn't been around for so long. Oh my god, father's here. Oh my god, hey dad, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Hey, like
Hey, daddy. Ooh, ooh. That's how Paul talks.
stop making it weird.
Motherfucker, there's no. You're going on and on. I'm trying to keep it interesting here.
Maybe it's not boring to other people. Maybe it's just boring to you. Ever thought of that?
You're right. My bad. In that case, you all have an excellent one. I'm sorry I can't contribute this episode. Next time I'll
Wait, the
watch Doom
book, the
before I
book. You
show
read the
up.
book. You read the book.
I'll talk to you all later. You have an excellent day. Have
Wait,
a good one,
wait, 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 wait,
boys.
wait, 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 wait. You said you read the book. You're probably more familiar with the book than I am. You can contribute this. He left. Damn it. I was just joking. Man, sensitive. I don't know. Anyway, as I was saying, I don't know enough about Paul's background as a kid to really understand how he feels about morality in general. Like I'm pretty sure he can distinguish between right and wrong, but I don't really understand. Um, I don't really understand. Like if he was like taught. I guess he was though. All right, that's the thing. He probably was, but the thing is that he acts selfish, but we don't know if this is something that he developed over time or any. I don't know. I don't know. Number one, be can an immoral story be good? Someone in chat asks. Can an immoral story be good? Yeah. It's probably not gonna appeal to a lot of people because a lot of people operate under similar moral frameworks, and they would like their heroes to be moral and everything. I mean, a lot of the people that dislike Paul dislike him precisely because he's not a messiah, which is why I think a lot of people dislike Dune Messiah. But yeah, I mean, Watchmen and 300 are perfect examples. Like the 300 Spartan soldiers were probably not that good of people. They were honorable people, but they weren't like super moral. Um, Watchmen in particular, and like all of them were like pretty bad. Season one of The Boys, like almost everyone in that show is just an evil douchebag. So yeah, an immoral story can be good. You just have to learn how to write it properly. Um, yeah, yeah, of course they can. They can be good. You can write a immoral characters. You mean, not an immoral story? Because an immoral story, that's a I don't know how that would look like, but in immoral characters, you can. I mean, there's a whole subgenre like anti-heroes. People love anti-heroes. People love villains. Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the chat. Um, what is there to talk about? Dune Part Two. The soundtrack, and I already mentioned the soundtrack. Never mind. Um, I mainly wanted to focus on the religion of Dune because that was probably the more interesting part. The scene where Paul goes up to the Fremen and talks to them, confronts them in his own language. Number one, first of all, that's got to be like the highlight of Timmy Chalamet's career. All right, the delivery was just immaculate. Like there was, whenever he switched to Chicopsa, which is the language that the Fremen speak, at least I think that's Chicopsa. Whenever he switches to that language, you can hear his voice get a lot more gravelier, and like there's a lot more gravel to the to the voice. There's a lot more oomph to it. There's a lot more power to it. Like he and entonates entonate. I don't think that's the right word. He his voice pretty much changes to sound more aggressive whenever he switches to a language. So it's almost like it's Muad. It's like almost like the Lisan al Gaib himself speaking. Um, it's like the Lisan al Gaib himself speaking directly to the Fremen, and I think that was incredible. I thought that was incredible because it showed power within. I never really thought Timothy Chalamet was able or capable to of doing such a thing, but it is really well done. It is really well done because you're trying to make him intimidating, and he succeeded at that. Like a powerful voice that reverberates throughout the entirety of the siege of the cave. Like if your voice has enough of an echo and is powerful enough like that, then you will command an entire troop of people. Like that is just a given. Like politicians with voices as powerful as that, they're gonna be people are going to listen to them. So he that was really captured well in this movie. But beyond that, what it is he says sounds very similar, oddly similar to how Pentecostals in churches give their sermons. It sounds almost like it sounded almost identical. Like the way he pointed at people, like, "Oh, you're gonna get healed. I saw in your dreams," and then he's speaking to them. Oh, yeah, I see in your dreams that you're gonna get crops, and you're a farmer, and crops are going to grow. It almost sounds like that, but unlike with Pentecostals when they speak in tongues, um, with Paul in particular, he actually knows what it is that he is speaking. He's not doing some sort of technique, because I mean, according to like Orthodox theology, the speaking of tongues is not much a gift of the Holy Spirit as they think it is, but it is more of a technique um, that they use to create this effect of catharsis in the audience, make them actually feel what it is that they believe, and in a more it's almost shamanistic in nature. It's kind of like how a shaman does it. So yeah, there's a lot of similarities between that idea and just shaman chants and stuff like that. Um, yeah. So the way Paul goes about it sounds very It's very similar, but unlike in Pentecostalism. He actually is speaking in a different tongue, but the tongue that it is that he's speaking is understood by everyone there. So there is a sense to it. There is a an understanding of what it is he's saying. People get what he's saying. You don't have to interpret it or anything because he's pretty much doing like a Fremen English. You know how Cubans often speak in Spanglish, Spanish English, and in this one character in Shin Godzilla that speaks both English and Japanese, she often intersperses the two. Um, in this particular case, this is a case of Japanese. No, this is a case of Frem English, Fremen English, Frem English. Get it? Yeah, no. He switches between the two, but it is understood what it is that he's saying, which I think is very important. Like if you don't understand what he's saying, so then it's not speaking in tongues. It's just being bilingual. I mean, yeah, pretty much. It is him being bilingual. I mean, he speaks more than one language. He speaks Mandarin. We see in Dune Part One that he speaks Mandarin to Doctor Yue. Um. Oh, but yeah, no. I just remembered something, but I that can wait. Also, in well, actually, no, never mind. In in the actual scene when he's confronting the people, you can see Chani is like almost scared of Paul and but willing to put face him, oppose him, and Gurney is just stopping her. Now I have to ask, like, after seeing all of these miracles, well, not, well, I mean, I don't know if you would call them miracles, but after seeing all of these things happen, I'm pretty sure that Chani would start to believe in the prophecy herself because these are just not things that she could explain. Like she goes, "This prophecy is how they enslave us," and it's pretty much speaking the quiet part out loud. That's what Chani is doing. Like she is pretty much telling people what the story is about. Like, oh, this the prophecies how they enslave us. Like, yeah, that's the theme of the story. It's pretty much like I said. I thought that that line in particular was rather odd because again you're speaking the quiet part out loud. I don't think that was necessary. I think that was pretty much implicit. But I mean, after seeing all of this, after seeing all of these things unfold, you saw that he was dead. You saw that he died, like in the scene with the water of life. He was dead. No, actually, no, he wasn't dead, but he was at the brink of death, and he understood the Bene Gesserit methods well enough to know how to prevent himself from dying by redistributing the poison throughout his body to me. Well, I don't know. I actually don't understand the minutia of how any of that works, but I'm pretty sure that he did something in his body to prevent himself from prevent the poison from fully killing him, but he is still, in danger of death. And even Jessica acknowledges this, and he needed water to um any kind of water really to really come back to life. And that's the whole thing with the prophecy, like the tears of a loved one, the tears of a friend and whatnot and what have you. The thing about that scene, however, is just that Zendaya doesn't really seem that into it. She doesn't seem that upset that Paul is dying. She just kind of sheds a singular tear, which I mean, again, like Zendaya was probably not the best choice for Chani because like Zendaya cannot pull off grieving, like being a grief ridden love interest. She cannot pull it off. She didn't pull it off in No Way in Spider-Man No Way Home, and she didn't pull it off here. So that was kind of like, I don't know, basic acting, basic Broadway acting. It was not like Hollywood level acting. I still think Zendaya was probably, a pretty bad cat. Like at first, I didn't have that much of a problem with it, but it's because I didn't understand Chani well enough to really make a proper judgment. She was not like that. Like in other scenes, she was a lot better, but when it comes like grieving, she was probably not the best choice. Like no, I wouldn't have picked her. In the book, she's a redhead, by the way. I just want to make that clear. The redhead erasure is real. I mean, this isn't the first time. Like, if I had a nickel for every time Zendaya replaced the redhead, I would have two nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Mary Jane is a redhead, and she's like MJ. She is MJ in No Way Home, and now we have Chani, which is supposed to be a redhead, but anyway, she cannot pull that off. And but she can pull off being a whiny, angry, sour. She can pull off the angry girlfriend. She can put off the girl in love. She can, but like grief, that is not her strong suit. She cannot pull that off to save her life. No, she can't. But yeah, no. After seeing Paul pretty much essentially coming back from the dead, you would think that would be enough to convince her, but it wasn't, and I don't understand why. I mean, that would have been enough for me if I were Chani in her place. Like, that would be enough for me to go, oh well, yeah, actually, you know what? Maybe there is some truth to the prophecy, and that's the whole thing. Like, with the prophecy itself, there is some truth to the prophecy, which is the whole issue, right? It's a complicated matter, right? Because you're fabricating the prophecy, but the prophecy also somehow managed to be true regardless, like regardless of the machinations, because there was some truth to it, because Paul ended up being a messiah, but not a very good one. Well, I mean, well, at least, he did lead the Imperium down a very, very dark route. It's pretty much the Dark Ages for the Imperium. So yeah, that was a thing. That was a something. But yeah, no. But that scene as a whole, it was very powerful. It's still probably my favorite scene in the entire movie, precisely because of how it resonated with me and my relationship with religion. I mean, I've seen a lot of Pentecostal pastors like do stuff like this with less grace than how Paul did it. And I know for a fact that the language that Paul's spoken is not the real Chakabsa from the book. It's a different language, but I don't really see that much of a I don't see much of a problem with it. I really don't see much of a problem with it. I think it's fine. It's fine. It's a needless change, but it's fine. I mean, we still got like "Long Live the Fighters" that one scene. Like, it's not how you say it in the book. I know that much, but it's good enough. It's good enough. Um, I just remembered during the all of this. By the way, Thufir Hawat is not in Dune Part Two, which I thought was weird. But like, there are a lot of changes in the book that I think were a detriment. Uh, like Thufir Hawat not being in the movie. Um, there was this one Fremen that appeared in the banquet that was also cut, but he might as well just not exist because the banquet scene did not happen. I mean, it was cut from the movie because it was filmed, but it's not in the movie, so it might as well, that one character. I forgot his name, but Tuek. His name was Tuek. I remember now. His name was Tuek. He plays a pretty important role in helping what's his name, Gurney Halleck escape the Harkonnens and reach Paul, but yeah, no, I don't think he shows up in the movie, uh, Tuick. But even if he didn't, then I would probably it wouldn't have mattered because his introduction was in the banquet scene, and the banquet scene did not happen. So I don't really think that was much of a problem. But yeah, as for Thufir Hawat was important because he was stolen by the Baron. He was stolen by the Baron so that he could do his bidding, and Thufir Hawat was forced to comply, but he also had his own agendas to really help, the Atreides family succeed in this time of tribulation where they needed the most. So he was trying to help the Atreides family any way he could. The whole thing with not poisoning that one guy in the Harkonnen arena battle with Fade Rotha, that was all Thufir. Like, the Atreides prisoners, he was trying to help them in any way he could. The poisoning part, that was Thufir, because he's an expert with poisons. He's a military strategist, but he's an expert with poisons. He understands the minutia of how to poison someone in a way that, number one, they don't notice that they're being poisoned, and number two, the poison itself is effective. That's a Thufir's specialty, besides being a mentat, of course. Um, I'm not sure if Thufir dies though. I haven't read that far into the book, but I know for a fact that he does help um the Atreides in that regard, like by pretending to be subservient to uh the Baron. But in the movie, it's different. In the movie, he's not even there, which I think was kind of a difference. But I'm pretty sure scenes actually were shot with Hawat, but he was ultimately cut from the movie for time because this movie's already pretty long, and yeah, they couldn't include that in the movie. They couldn't include that just for the sake of time, which I think is not good. It's a shame, really, but yeah, no, the movie would have been a lot more fleshed out with those extra scenes. I mean, there were a lot of deleted scenes, a lot of. I think the first movie had 40 minutes of footage cut. As for this movie, Dune Part 2, I don't know how much footage was cut, but I know a lot of it was cut. A lot of stuff that was in the books. And the Denis Villeneuve's philosophy, I don't really agree with it all that much. I don't agree with it, and the reason why I don't agree with it is because you. The reason why I don't agree with the philosophy is mainly just uh it all I really like the reason why I dislike this his philosophy is pretty much because he doesn't believe that scenes that were cut should see the light of day. Like once they're cut, it's over. They're not in the movie anymore, and nobody should see them. I don't know why he thinks this. Hold on. Says YouTube is not responding. Error, YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Shit. That's not good. That's not good. That is not good. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess I could play some stuff in the background. I guess I could play some Dune in the background. Um yeah, no, he believes that Denny believes that like once the movie is cut, once something from the movie is cut, then it shouldn't be in the movie at all. Like nobody should ever see it. Which I think is pretty dumb. It is kind of dumb because like not even like extra if you don't want it to be in the movie, then fine. If you don't want it to be in the movie, then I think, it's perfectly fine. But I don't think that warrants you not showing people at all. I think people do deserve to see it, especially if a lot of the things would have been better if you showed it to people. At least parts of the movie would have been a lot better if you just showed it to people. So I don't really understand why you wouldn't want to show people. Think about it. Think about how much better the movie would have been with these scenes. Now, people could imagine, and people could. I'm guessing, and people he would fear that people would re-edit the movie so that the people would re-edit the movie so that we could see how we would have seen. He doesn't believe in director's cut, but I think he fears that people would ask for a director's cut, and he doesn't want to release the movie. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know. Okay, I'm just speculating. I'm just spitballing here. Um, but no, I don't think it's a good enough justification to not show people deleted footage of the movie. I don't think it's warranted to just deprive people of more Dune. I don't think it's. I don't think. It, I don't. That is not good. I don't think that was good. I don't think it is a good change at all. Oh shit! Error. YouTube is not. It's still not responding. Shit, man. Well, if the stream is like if it's still buffering, then yeah, I don't know if it's still buffering then yeah uh if it's still buffering then yeah no I'm gonna have to re-release this at capacity. I'm gonna have to re-release the yeah no but yeah um I also want to talk about the comparisons between this movie and Star Wars, like because yeah we already know for a fact. Oh yeah, that the Star Wars was inspired by Dune. We already know this. We already understand this. My issue with that is, well, I mean, first of all, calling Dune, because I've seen this a lot. Dune killing Star Wars is inaccurate. Star Wars killed Star Wars. George Lucas sold that franchise to Satan. So he made a shit ton deal, as Dune likes to call it. Like there is nothing that hurts the franchise more than George Lucas' decision. So this was all his doing. This was all his doing. So I mean, you could say that's what like what he said. What about Star Wars saying, oh, like I sold my kids like to the slaves, the slave owners, and everything. I mean, in a way, he did, but at the same time, I wouldn't describe it like that. Also at the same time, that was you. You did that, not Disney. You did that. So like, you didn't have to. You didn't have to, but you did. Why? Because you wanted money. You flew too close to the sun. That's what you did. You flew too close to the sun. I'm saying that Dune is a Star Wars killer is inaccurate, and I hate it. I hate it when people say that. And it's not even because I'm a fan of Star Wars. I'm not. I've seen like the trilogy, yeah, but like that's the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, and I like the prequel trilogy, but I'm not gonna. I don't consider myself a fan. I'm just like a passive observer. You know what I mean? I just like the movie in a passing sense. I don't. I'm not gonna roll my entire. I'm not gonna base my entire personality off of Star Wars. I just enjoy it casually. I can acknowledge the bad writing in the movie. I mean, the prequel trilogy is horribly written, but yeah. Um, shit, the stream is lagging hard. The stream is lagging very, very hard. I don't know what to do about that. I don't know what to do about the stream lagging this hard. I don't know what to do. Um, but yeah, calling it the Star Wars killers feels not only does it feel tacky, it's like kicking a horse down. It's pretty much of an asshole thing to do. You know, oh yeah, Dune is a Star Wars killer, lol. The Star Wars is dead. Dune will rise. Dune going into the mainstream is both a good and a bad thing because, like with Dune, I guess it could inspire people to read the book and become more intelligent via osmosis. But at the same time, like people are not gonna read the book. It could potentially inspire people to read the book, but they're not going to read the book. This is like the same case with like Blood Meridian. Wendigoon released this video on Blood Meridian, and it was all great and everything. It introduced the whole people. I started reading Blood Meridian. I didn't finish it. I still haven't finished it. I got to chapter 5, but I overall I've read Blood Meridian. It's pretty good, but over time it's gonna go. People are gonna watch the video, Wendigoon's video, which is 5 hours long. They're gonna watch Wendigoon's video and then pretend to have read the book, and it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. They just pretend to read the book. Um, so yeah, it's a, both a detriment and a positive because again, you're introducing a whole new generation of people and doing again, people smarter via osmosis. But at the same time, people are probably not going to read the book and just base their knowledge off of the movie and just explain their videos, and it's pretty much how they do it because people don't read. People don't read books. So and on top of that, unwanted people are gonna join the fandom and just go, oh, the freaking I want this to happen in the story. I want them to change this and that, and it's gonna be chaotic. It's going to be utter chaos. So it's like a double edged sword. You can't just be like, oh, you can't just have these two people in your franchise. Like you can't have the normie fans and the like. You have to convert the normie fans into like hardcore Dune fans that will gatekeep the franchise. Because like I've seen people like I'm in a Dune server and some people still want Dune to be gate kept. And I understand that, and on a surface level, I agree. Me personally, I'm a bit more optimistic because microphone. Is it ready? Okay. 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 Uh, Two fun fact: did you -1 give birth to stuff like Godzilla, Black Mask, Wizard, Godzilla, Ghost of Hiroshima, Monster? I'm not talking about Godzilla right now. We're talking about Dune. I think that would be a good thing. I think it would be a good thing to educate the new fans so that they understand more about what it is that they're consuming, like the media that they're consuming. And I don't really want to call Dune like something that you consume because that has a lot of connotations. But at the same time, like it has become something to consume. With the movie out and everything. And I understand the apprehension to this. I completely understand the apprehension to this. Um, but I think if we handle things properly, we can probably foster a more intellectual fan base, a more intelligent fan base, and all that. I think we can foster. Uh, yeah, yeah, no. What more do I have to say about Dune? What more do I have to say about Dune? Because I know for a fact that there is plenty of me to say, and I've been going on off of my own after King of Candor abandoned me. But yeah, okay. Um, the movie was great. It was excellent. I mean, I understand why a lot of hardcore Dune fans will hate it because there were a lot of important changes that were made. Uh, Chom, for example, Chom, which is very important in the book because Chom is essentially, I guess, I've seen it being compared to like the stock market, kind of, but it's for spice basically. Spice handling, spice business, spice this, spice that. Um, and it's very influential. Especially with how the emperor deals with these things in the book. You know, oh Chom product. I don't really understand how Chom works exactly. I have to read more about that, but the it is very important in the book, and Chom is nowhere to be seen in the movie. Um, a lot of the events and the timelines of events, a lot of it changes. For example, Princess like the Saint Alia is a fetus, and she makes a cameo of her adult future self, starring Anya Taylor Joy, which I was not expecting. I did not expect Anya Taylor Joy's character to be Alia. I expected her to be a background character, but no, she's Alia. Anya Taylor Joy is Alia, and me personally, I like it. I like her as Alia. Now, if she can pull off being psychotic, then I'm all for it. I mean, she did. She was in The Witch, and she was in The Northman, and in The Northman, she was Amleth's wife. And when she hears about Amleth's death, she goes into like this sort of schizophrenic song singing thing ritual in the middle of a boat. Like if she can pull that off, like she can definitely pull off being crazy. I am certain she can pull it off. So I think that was a good casting choice. That was definitely a good casting choice. I love that. That was great. That was great casting. As for um, but yeah, no, like Alia is somewhat present in the movie, but not present enough, I think. But I don't think she has to be, at least in this movie. She is definitely gonna play a bigger role in Dune Messiah. She's gonna be more in Dune Messiah. She's definitely gonna be there for a fact. Like she has to. She has to. Um, but yeah, no. I'm hoping that Dune Messiah is, and this is something one of my Discord server members said about Dune Messiah. Like he hopes that Dune Messiah is like Lord of the Rings length, like a Return of the King. And me too. Me too. I think the thing about Dune Messiah, however, at least from what I know, is that it's a very, very. I mean, it's a short book. It's very short, and it's also kind of boring at times because it doesn't have a lot of action in it. But the way Denis set it up the way Denis set it up, we could see the Holy War actually take place. We could actually see both the Holy War and the effects of the Holy War, and we could see it throughout uh, the Holy War and how it affects people throughout the years. I mean, I'm not really sure how long it lasts, but I haven't read Doom Messiah, but I know enough about Doom Messiah to say that the book does not focus on like the well, I mean it does focus on the war in some aspects, at least from what I know, but it doesn't like it's not very action packed. So how do you make a movie out of that? Well, you do what Denis does it. You set it up so that Doom Messiah is a full on war movie, but also focuses on the effects of the war, the aftermath, and you can still adapt it faithfully. You can still adapt it somewhat faithfully. There are things that are going to change, and that is I would consider that a necessary evil. But as an adaptation, it probably won't be the best. As a movie, like independent of the book, like pretend the book does not exist and this film just exists in a vacuum. I mean, this is like a pretend you like it and see how you feel sort of argument, which is an argument I despise, so I'm not going to make it. So, if you judge this film as an independent piece of work, then you will come to find that it is very well written. Now, there are a lot of. Now, the reason why this isn't a pretend to like it argument is because there are a lot of works that are both really bad movies and really bad adaptations. So, yeah, just look at every single Phase 4 project that has come out from the MCU or any DCEU movie to come out. Just they're bad movies and they're bad adaptations. So like, I mean, yeah, you can be a good movie and a bad adaptation. It can also be a bad movie and a good adaptation, and which I guess that dictates the fact that the adaptation itself is not that good. And you can also have a bad movie and a bad adaptation and a good movie and a good adaptation. In this case, I would call it a mediocre adaptation, but a good movie. Dune Part Two, like the Dune story in general. It's good. It's good. Like I could go in length into that, but I have to rewatch the movie because there are a lot of details that I am missing. Because I saw that movie like 2 weeks ago. I saw this movie like 2 weeks ago, so I don't remember the plot in its entirety, so I can't like break it down even if I wanted to. We could go into detail if I when we watch the movie. Also because for some reason, no, like, I don't know. But yeah, like if nobody's gonna show up, nobody's gonna show up. Um, I have seen on the internet people describe Paul Atreides. Well, not describe, but you're treating Paul Atreides. Well, actually, no. I already talked about that. What else? Um, Fade Rotha in this movie is he's pretty great, but I think we should have seen more scenes with him. I mean, in the book, he doesn't appear all that much, but well, actually, no. I wanted to see more of him, but I know that in the book he's not all that present. So, like when people describe the rivalry between him and Paul Atreides, it's mostly because there's a lot of wordplay before the fight. But again, Denis hates dialogue, so the wordplay is kept to an absolute minimum in the movie, which I understand. But I mean, well, I'm not entirely sure. Uh, I think Fade, if you added more to the movie, it might detract from it. People might be detracted from it, and for good reason. And for good reason. But yeah, no, I loved Fade Roth in this movie. At least his character, like how Austin Butler played him. Although I kind of wish I saw more of his maniacal side, his more violent side. I mean, we did see some hints of it, but and he does have like cannibal concubines that he keeps around. I would have loved to see more of those, see what all that was about. What else? Uh, Harkonnen, Vladimir Harkonnen. Did you guys know that Vladimir Harkonnen is canonically a pedo? Now, I don't know if the concubines that he killed in that scene in part 2 that we see him kill or at least see him after he's killed them, I don't know if those were children or not. Now, but I think it's cathartic when the Baron dies because you can feel like it feels like justice has returned. Like you see this monster, but I would have loved to see like his more monstrous side, his more like I really wanted the movie to emphasize just how evil the Baron is. To I mean, but I'm guessing it's implied though. It's subtle, and people can pick up on it. But I mean, I picked up on it, but that was mostly because I'm already familiar with the book. People that are not familiar with the book are probably not going to realize that this man is a pedo. So like that he's evil, but you don't really understand the why of it, why he's evil. Not that, I mean, you don't necessarily need to know why he's evil, but it is important to understand just how evil he is, so that his and the reason why I would want to see him be more evil is so that it makes the ending where he dies a lot more cathartic. Me personally, I kind of wish his death was a lot more violent because, again, he is a pedo, and pedos deserve a really violent death. So I kind of wish his death was a lot more violent, but I guess that's just me, you know. I guess that's just me, but yeah, no, he definitely deserved to die. But I think it would have been a lot more rewarding if we just saw just how bad things could get under his thumb, so we can see just how good it is that Paul is now in charge. But only for us to be subverted with the fact that Paul is not that good of is not a good guy. I mean, to kill a Harkonnen must become a Harkonnen. That was the whole twist. They found out that only Harkonnen could, well, no, only a Harkonnen could kill a Harkonnen. That's not a thing. That's not a thing per se in the movie. But it is a plot point. You know, Harkonnen will kill Harkonnen because Paul found out after drinking the water of life, and so did Jessica, that they are the descendants of Vladimir Harkonnen, which is a very dark twist because now Paul feels like he is no better than the Baron, but he still has to do what he must, and he must embrace that part of himself to achieve his goal. But after what he sees, what he has to become, he rejects that at the very end because he's forced to abandon his humanity to achieve his goal, and he refuses to do it. And that's what makes him tragic. He came all this way to try and save humanity, like even throwing away the people that he loves, just abandoning them. But then he has to betray his himself, his instinct for rightness, as the book calls it, and he hates it. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't do it. And at the end of the day, it was all for nothing. And then he just becomes a wanderer in a foreign land. So that's the tragedy of Paul Atreides. Now, as for the Emperor, by the way, this is something I was thinking about. The Emperor was very, very underutilized in the movie. Not only do I think Christopher Walken was a bad character casting choice, but the Emperor was not all that imposing. Like, you hear his theme, because his theme is amazing. It's very choral, very orchestral. It feels like a god is arriving whenever he's on screen. But he's just played by Christopher Walken, and Christopher Walken, according to the interview, he says, "Oh, people will just treat you like a king. You don't have to do a lot of things. As long as people treat you like an emperor, you'll be fine because people will listen to you if you speak with authority. That's what emperors are." Which is not necessarily bad advice when you're giving it to someone that can pull off being an emperor. I don't think Christopher Walken pulled it off. He just looked like a decrepit old man that was just barely hanging on to his kingdom. He was like he every time he walked and talked, he sounded and looked like he was at the brink of death. What he was wearing too, the things that he was wearing, that was not very emperor like. That's not the type of clothing you would associate with an emperor. That's the type of clothing you would associate with a grandpa in a retirement home. That is not an emperor. In the books, the emperor is 75, but he looks like he's 30, 35. Walks, talks like he's 35. But he's 75. That could be just the geriatric properties of spice. I don't remember if he took any spice or not, but that's probably it. And there was a power to him. There was a power because you're building him up to be this massive, powerful, political being entity that has a monopoly on the entire Imperium, a monopoly on Chom, the treasury of the Imperium. There was a power to him. He was all imposing and all encompassing. He was suffocating. And then when you see who he actually is, he's just an old man, and we don't actually see him exert his power in either of the movies, which is a detriment, especially if you cast someone like Christopher Walken. You know who should have been the Emperor? You know who should have been the Emperor? I think either Willem Dafoe or J.K. Simmons could have pulled it off. Because J.K. Simmons definitely has a physicality. As old as he is shredded. Have you seen J.K. Simmons? He is shredded. He could pull it off. Willem Dafoe may not pull off the physicality, but he could pull off the imposing nature of the Emperor. That is a given. He could definitely pull that off. What else? Who else? I mean, if anybody got any suggestions, because the stream right now is kind of, yeah, no, the stream is very fucky wucky right now. But yeah, no, the Emperor in this movie was very, very underwhelming. It was boring. He was boring in the movie. He was uninteresting. I did not like him at all. He should have been cast by someone that both looks, talks, and walks like an emperor. Christopher Walken did not walk and talk and act like an emperor. He walked, talked, and moved like a grandpa in our retirement home. Princess Irulan, although she was underutilized, I don't really think there was much to use her for. I mean, as much in the books as well as you hear excerpts of the things that she wrote, and we get hints of her writings in the movie. that she writes. Well, not writes, but well, I mean, I guess that is writing technology because she is technically writing the book because she has she has technology to have it's basically a speech to text type technology that she uses to write books. Um, she definitely writes books in her downtime, and we got to see aspects of that in the movie. But yeah, no, I don't think there could have been a lot to be done with um Princess Erlon. But Margot Fenring, although she has an important role in the book, at least in the latter half of the book, she's not all that present as opposed to other characters. But she was important enough, to be in the book for longer than in the movie. Because Margot Fenring played a very very small role in the book, and I mean in the movie. I'm guessing it was preserving the bloodline, making sure that the bloodline of the Harkonnens ever would end because of Paul Atreides. They could still preserve it, and yeah, all part of the Bene Gesserit plan. The Bene Gesserit are disgusting, by the way. They're interesting. They're definitely one of the more interesting factions in the entire Imperium, but they're also kind of disgusting. I don't think they're any better than the Harkonnens. At least they have good intentions, but like to bring forth a Messiah, to the Kwisatz Haderach, to lead the Imperium into paradise and whatnot and what have you. So it's like you craft a Messiah, you're pretty much creating your God, as opposed to just waiting for the God to show up. Instead of following a Messiah that already existed, you're creating your own Messiah. So yeah, no, the Bene Gesserit. I mean, I guess they want humanity to expand and become like an even bigger powerhouse than it is. But I mean, the way they're going about it is kind of like so. In a sense, they are no better than the Harkonnens. Um, what else can I talk about? They haven't talked about. Let's see the Harkonnen arena scene, all of it, perfect. Apparently, the way they made the entire scene look black and white because they are all under a black sun, and the reason for that is because of all the pollution and everything. Because it's a very industrial, technocratic plant, the Gedi Prime. Um, what they did was they shot the scenes in infrared. They didn't just put a black and white filter on it. They shot it on infrared, which is a very creative use of the technology. I haven't seen that done before, and it's really great. Although then again, I probably haven't seen a movie where that was done, but still, it was very inventive to see something like that take place. That was incredible. I wish more movies did creative stuff like that. Yeah, no, this movie is definitely among the better movies to come out, and it's still my favorite. It's still my favorite. I wish I could watch it again, dude. When the worms appeared in theaters in the theater, like I could feel everything shaking. It was surreal. You need to watch this movie in IMAX. You absolutely need to watch this movie in IMAX. It is just a treat. It was like a sensorial treat. It is just peak fiction. I hate using that word, but that's what it is. It's just peak. Well, maybe not. Lord of the Rings is peak fiction. But like, come on. Now, people have compared this movie. Like, the people have said, "Oh, this movie is like on par with Lord of the Rings," and no, it isn't. No, it definitely isn't. There are some flaws in the movie. Again, like I have to rewatch the movie to give a proper assessment, which is why I wanted to do this episode earlier. But then Godzilla X Kong came out and threw all my plans into disarray. But I don't know if I wanted to talk about this earlier, I probably would have had a clear image of the plot in my mind. I wasn't taking notes in the theater. That would have been weird. But yeah, no, this movie was excellent. This movie was excellent in every way. In every way. Stilgar, big fanatic, going from a friend to a father figure to a fanatic. That was a very interesting character arc for him. Fun fact: in the books, there is some sexual tension between Stilgar and Jessica. I actually managed to read that part last night, and it was interesting. But like Jessica was a bit apprehensive, but then she thought about it and she was like, maybe there could be some benefit to it. But yeah, no, that was I don't know how that would have played out in the movie, to be honest. I don't see how that would have fit. But there definitely was a bit of a there definitely was something in the movie. There was something. And I also love how the conversations go, like the dialogue. Even if Denis hates dialogue, he is in this movie pretty good at it. So for someone that dislikes dialogue, in this movie the dialogue is pretty damn good. At least the scenes with the Fremen and Paul, and yeah, no, it is good. It is pretty good. It is great. But yeah, no, I highly recommend this movie. This movie is incredible. This is just please just go watch this movie. I could watch if I could watch it 10 more times I would, but I can't. But I've considered it. Um, I'm not really a music guy, so I can't talk about the soundtrack. Um, the worms in particular, the worms are just the best part for me. Like, cause this is how that is exactly how you should shoot a movie like this. That is like, with these giant monsters. Because this is something Braden told me regarding Godzilla and the movements with the CGI. Like it's not just about making them move slowly; it's about making them look heavy and making them look like there's effort in every movement. So like there was a scene in Godzilla X Kong where Godzilla's just running towards Kong, and there was this one scene where they slow down his movements a bit to make him look heavy, but all they did was just make him look floaty. instead, because there was no weight to his movements. So, as opposed to the sandworm, where not only does he feel heavy, but the impact he has on the sandworm has on its surroundings is felt by both the environment and the characters. Like the scene where Paul is writing the word worm, you can feel with the camera shaking and the sound design of the worm hitting the sand and the sand hitting Paul, which I think it should have just knocked him out, but going at that speed. But yeah, you could feel the pressure and the wind and the weight and the speed and the power of the worm with how it was shot, like with the camera shaking and Paul just barely hanging on. It was a difficult scene to shoot because there wasn't really frame of reference to riding a worm, which is something that Timothy Chalamet said in an interview. But they managed to pull it off, and the worm still feels tangible. It feels real. It feels like it's a real living being that you could just place maker hooks on and just ride like a transportation, like desert transportation. That is, and on top of the fact, the use of dust, the use of dust clouds in the worm army scene, where they call a bunch of worms to attack to attack the Arakeen city. Um, they made them look gigantic. This juxtaposed with the size of the Sardaukar that were running away, it made the scene look apocalyptic. It was excellent. It was great because now you have something to juxtapose both the worms. I mean, it's very good. You probably have a lot more of those in your movie because they're good points of reference. They're good points of reference. You can emphasize a lot better. You quantify a lot better.